Hello, everyone. How are we all doing? Come on in. Sit on down if you still have chairs, because as you can tell, I don't need a chair anymore. I am now a corporeal voice talking down to you upon high, because I was the only one, it turns out, who was blessed enough to be chosen, and all you other suckers got left behind. So deal with that. I hope you enjoy Tribulation. Hell on Earth is on the way. Thankfully, I get to just kick back and relax, sipping pina coladas on a cloud. So yeah. You know, that's it, really. So the show's cancelled. There'll be no more Understanding Conspiracy. It's done. It's over. We had a good run. I made it to 100,000. We did it. And just in time for me to check out. And that's it. It's over. So thank you. Thanks for being here. I'll catch you guys another time. Thank you. Bye now. I'm just kidding. I'm here. We're all good, guys. The show's back on. I was not chosen, unfortunately. I'm still stuck here with the rest of you. And yeah, no, jokes aside, we're all done. Joke's over. We're gonna get serious. You know me. You know, we like to get serious here. I have been saying every single year, making videos about this, that this always happens at this time of year. It's Rapture season, you know. And this has been going on for as long as I have been in the conspiracy game, since 2014 officially. The channel was made, but, you know, prior to that, this has been an endless cycle every single year. And I've been watching the videos every year come out as usual, telling me that, you know, we have all the evidence, all the stars are aligned, all the Jewish feast days are perfectly aligned here. I've done the math. And it's definitely going to be this September 23rd. It's this one. This is the one. This is where it's happening. This is it. Every single time. And every single year, the day comes. It goes. And all those people who claimed it was the day have no accountability for their actions and what they've made other people do as a result of pushing these dates. There's never any responsibility taken. There's never any admittance of fault. In fact, they usually double down and say, I just forgot to carry the one. I guarantee it's next year. Okay. And the cycle starts again. Books are sold. Courses are sold on survival and instincts and how to deal with those who will be left behind and getting your affairs in order type of meetings. And you know, things get sold. Money gets made. Fear gets generated. Ad revenue is generated. And the day comes and goes, and the cycle begins again every single year. So I'm kind of exacerbate. I can't be bothered going on about this anymore, and this is why I've kind of hit that point right now where I'm just gonna have to laugh about this because it keeps happening, and it tends to prey on those who are scared of the times we live in. And perhaps also maybe baby Christians who haven't really been in the game for that long, who are just sucking up all the research and learning a lot of things, and they tend to fall into that pit and get swept along with that as well. Because, of course, they became a Christian at the perfect time to be raptured, and it's pretty much a main character syndrome situation, I think, unfortunately. And perhaps it's a part of the learning curve of becoming a Christian, to kind of go through this, am I living through the time where people get raptured type of situation. And as you guys know, I'm somebody who has posited and done a lot of work on and generated a lot of information around the idea that we're not in the right time as much as people think we are. I know we call it the little season theory for quite a while. I think the new term now going around is the last season of Satan. But I genuinely believe, I think we're in perhaps more likely the year 1250 or something like that, or 1325 or something like this. It's not the year 2025. I think 1,000 years, give or take, perhaps 700 years of time has been added to our time since Christ. I do believe most of Revelation has already happened. And if there was a rapture, which again is a highly dubious, questionable claim, which was generated in about 1830, roughly about that time, was it? Am I wrong there? By Schofield, postulated and speculated by Schofield in his notes, and popularized by Darby not long afterwards. And it seems to be a very distinctly American phenomena to talk about the rapture and this idea. But if there is a rapture of any kind, then it would have happened perhaps around 66 to 70 AD, give or take. I don't think it would have happened in our time. And 1,325 years later, give or take, roughly. I think the millennial reign of Christ was already here on earth in a physical sense, very, very literally speaking. And I think the entire conspiracy comes together when you fully comprehend that idea. I think when you want to get to the bottom of the rabbit hole, you're going to get there eventually and figure it out and realize this is why the day always comes and it's never the day. I think we've been massively lied to about all of it. And this rapture concept fits in perfectly with that little season idea. It does. And I think this is why people are going to continue to be deceived and continue to lose their faith when the day comes and goes, because of this wrong, false mindset of where we are on the timeline, and not really understanding just how deep the rabbit hole actually goes in terms of timeline manipulation. Because why do people have any reason to doubt the official history we've been given? It's not like it was written by the winners or anything, you know. And that's the issue overall, and that's the overall conclusion summarized very quickly as to why this is always going to be a problem. It's, if we are in the last season of Satan, just after 1,000-year reign where he's let loose, then the people will be deceived. Even the very elect, if it was possible, but it seems like there's a large contingent of Christians in these last times waking up rapidly to this idea. So perhaps God's people are not going to be deceived, you know. Hopefully. But in this time, it would make sense that this is the game that would be played over and over and over again. And this has been happening for hundreds of years, you know. And I think there was a time, I can't remember when exactly, but it was called the Great Disappointment. It's quite a famous example from the 1800s, where hundreds of people, thousands of people believed this particular person who said, you know, the rapture's happening on this time. Tribulation begins now, you know, at this particular date. He did all the math correctly. Everything was perfectly lining up with the signs in the sky and the constellations being in the right place and the sun and the moon at the right places and all the rest of it. And he convinced thousands and thousands and thousands of people to follow him and gather and to believe and sell all their stuff and all the rest of it, you know. And it came and went, and a lot of people lost their faith that day. A lot of people. And how many people do you think have lost their faith recently? Because the issue is, I've been seeing TikToks and Instagram posts of people who genuinely believe it's the day. And they are, like I said, selling their things or talking to their family as though, you know, if you don't make it, I'll see you up there. But if you don't make it, you know, this is what you need to be ready for. And this idea, this genuine idea that I know I'm special, I'm chosen, I'm going to get taken away, and you're all going to suffer here, miserable tribulation coming upon you very soon. And when you really get down to it, it's kind of, there's something extremely perverse about that type of Christianity. And this is not trying to throw shade to my Christian brothers and sisters out there who truly love Christ and are for Christ and are believers. But this thing is not a part and parcel situation for Christianity as much as you've been sold it is by modern dispensationalist futurists, American pastors and evangelical types. The rapture is not necessary to be a part of your faith if you have faith in Christ. And I have to keep making this point clear. You're in a bubble in America over there if you think it's completely necessary, and to deny this aspect of it is to not really be a Christian. That's bullshit. I'm sorry, that's absolute nonsense. Okay? Your faith in Christ should not be hinging on the idea that you get to just float away out of this while everyone else suffers. That's not what being saved means. Being saved isn't being whisked away into the clouds. Okay, that's not what being saved was ever truly about, or what it's supposed to be, or where you should be putting your faith or your hope. The new hope, the blessed hope, is in the new heaven and earth at the end of all of this. At the end of everything. When the final judgment has been made, the devil and the false prophets has been cast into the lake of fire, and heaven descends down and becomes one with the earth and renews it and makes it whole again as it was supposed to be in the beginning, and we are all resurrected with new glorious light bodies to live heaven on earth in the final, after the final great white throne judgment, after all of this. But if you are in the tribulation's coming now timeline idea, and I'm going to get raptured before this, pre or post tribulation rapture arguments, or whatever the hell you want to get involved with that nonsense, then your blessed hope isn't in the new heaven and earth, is it? You're praying and hoping that you get to get whisked away, watch the earth get destroyed and suffer, then Christ who come and rule over the earth for 1,000 years with an iron rod, and you get to be one of the saints that rules over all of those people for 1,000 years. That's what comes after tribulation. And only after those 1,000 years has ended is the devil let loose for a short season, because he's bound into chains at the end of that tribulation period. Then after 1,000 years of relative peace, where people are being taught and the kingdom mentality by Christ himself and his resurrected saints, then there's a time where Satan is released, and we're probably more likely in that time. And then after all of this time, this last season, this final season, where there's no rapture, there's no tribulation, none of that stuff is going to happen, you know? There's no mark of the beast, technically, you know, none of that really is around the corner. They're going to manufacture it to make it look like we're in that time, for sure, and I think they've done a bloody good job of doing that. Very convoluted, over the top, on the nose, cheesy, tacky, cheap job of simulacrum of that concept and idea that we are living through tribulation and all the Antichrist and the mark of the beast is around the corner. But the real thing happened already. That's the problem. That's why people are locked into that mindset. That's why they're in fear all the time, because they don't know where we are and who we are and what's really going on. And this rapture thing is going to keep happening because of that. It doesn't need to be there. Our faith should be in what comes at the end of this little season, this last season of Satan, which is the new heaven and earth, a renewing of everything. The final blessed hope, the true blessed hope in everything. And unfortunately, a lot of people have been indoctrinated by, I think, wolves in sheep's clothing, personally, in a lot of these churches, a lot of these 501c3s who may be in on it, who are purposefully misleading their flocks into this wrong mindset, this wrong attitude. We're told to fear not 365 times in the New Testament, I think. Is that right? The idea is that we're not supposed to live in a spirit of fear, and the only fruit that comes from the rapture theology is fear. It's preying on people's fear. And some people really are banking on it wholeheartedly because they are rooted in fear. It doesn't matter what time you were born, when you were born, pre or post millennium reign. It really doesn't matter. The Great Commission is the same. Go out and make disciples of men and women. Be a fisher of men. Go out there and spread the gospel. Spread the good news. That's your Great Commission. And you will be saved regardless of what's to come. You were never promised that you wouldn't die as a Christian. In fact, if you want to pick up your cross and walk as Jesus walked, as he's commanded, then you have to expect to be persecuted, suffer, and to die. And only through those prerequisites can you be resurrected and born again into your glorious new light body. Only then. You have to die. Okay, and I'm not just talking about the metaphorical being born again. The old man dies and the new man is born in the spirit. That is also there. That's an echo of the thing that needs to come finally. You're not perfected until death and resurrection. Okay, and that's how Christ did it. He showed us the way, and the way was through death and resurrection. So this whole rapture idea that, well, everyone else has to, you don't have to die though. You're special. You get to just sit out that painful death part. You don't have to suffer persecution as a Christian, as a believer in Christ. You're okay. You're okay. You get to just chill out for a bit. And everyone else who's left behind has to suffer that kind of stuff. Because you were perfect. You did it right, you know. You were just so great. You were just so wonderful that you just don't have to do what all the other people throughout human history have to do. You're special. And I feel like there's a certain sense of narcissistic, psychopathic self-centeredness that surrounds that idea as well, which has always made me disgusted and cringe. And I'm not alone in this, because from the outside, people who are not Christians, when they look in at what this group is doing, what our community is doing in these attitudes, they hate us. Not because like, oh, well, you hate Christians because people are just like, no, because we are just ridiculous. We look and sound ridiculous to them. And they hate the results of what these type of ideologies create in people. I was listening to a video earlier, and this guy is saying, right, let's make a deal. And by the way, this guy's not a Christian, but he was basically saying this to all those out there who said you would be raptured, sold books about it, made money off of this, were pastors and preachers and so forth. You need to have accountability. And this is the deal he made. He says, if you are right, and people get raptured on the 23rd or the 24th, because giving it a bit of leeway there, I will become a Christian. I will be there through the tribulation, and I will be bringing people onto Christ. And he basically gave the perfect Christian mission statement. He understands Christianity well, this guy, clearly. And he was laying out that he will be going against Satan. He will not take the mark of the beast. He'll be doing everything. He's going to be the man on the ground who didn't get taken, but gets to spread the gospel and the truth. He will full heartedly do that. But in return, the deal is, if you're wrong, you have to admit that you were wrong. And you are, by definition, a false prophet, because you said God told you it was going to happen on that day. And the prerequisites are pretty clear in the Bible. A prophet cannot be wrong. Not even once. Okay, and this guy is saying, if you will not admit that, then we're done. We're washing our hands of you, of Christians in general. We're sick of this. The suffering and pain you have caused to people, the things you have made them done through selling this idea, by claiming that God told you it was definitely on this date, making people who trusted you sell all their things, make their life objectively worse as a result of this, alienate themselves, be passive, make no progression in life, because what's the point, right? We're all just going to get taken away. He was making a very clear case that the Christians who are saying and doing these things bear extremely bad fruit and are practically evil for doing so. And they do not admit fault. There's no accountability. And this is happening every year. It is. Every year. Even I've seen it as a Christian, as a believer. Every year this happens. And they do not take accountability. They don't apologize. They don't issue refunds for the books they sold or the survival kits they sold or anything like that. They don't come back. They don't step down from positions of prophetic word saying, well, I guess I'm not a prophet. I was wrong. I'll not say a single thing again. They don't do anything. They double down and go even harder. Never say God told me or God showed me, especially not in this season, especially not in the little season. In the last season of Satan. No. Now, you can have a personal revelation, sure, and you can think, okay, maybe I think God showed me this, but do not go out there and prophesy to the rest of the people saying, God told me this is exactly how it's going to go down. And you all need to follow me and believe me when I say this. Never do that. It's not a good idea now. Not a good idea. We are called not to prophesy. We are called to go out and make disciples of men and women. We'll go to spread the gospel, spread the good news of Jesus Christ, the one who came to put an end to all of it, the final prophecy, the Savior. No more prophets after him, right? It's done. It is finished. He made it clear. But the problem is people still think we're in some sort of extended Pentecost period. And we're supposed to be using the gifts of the Spirit to do these things. because they are messed up on where they are on the timeline. And the longer Christians continue to play this foolish game, the more foolish we look to the outside world, the more people fall away and lose their faith and get taken up by atheism and nihilism and the rest. The worse things get. Do you understand? You know, just because you had a thought or an idea that made you feel good or you felt was the truth does not mean it was a message from God. I have always been extremely careful never to once say in any of my theorizing or all my videos or everything I've done that God showed me that this is what it is. Never once. For this reason. The optics are terrible. And to say such a thing, like the burden that puts on you in a way, and you have to know that if you are wrong, that means a lot, because you said God told you. Do you understand the implications of all of that, the weight behind all of that, especially to people, observers on the outside? Like, do people not think before they open their mouths? I don't know. So there you go. There's a rant. There's a diatribe of rage and anger towards this concept, because it needs to stop. It has to stop. We cannot continue to do this. Like, this is going to destroy Christendom as a whole. This is going to make people fall away en masse. This is not a good look. Look, we're called to love one another. I don't hate the Christians who say these things. I love you. I think there's a problem. I think you've been lied to and deceived in many ways. I'm not calling you out to shame you. I'm not trying to put you down or upset you. I'm trying to just get you to understand and get some perspective here. Okay, I want you to know this to help. I believe in Jesus Christ too. He is my Lord and Savior. I profess with my mouth. I shout it from the mountains with this channel to thousands of people. I want people to come to Christ. I want them to be saved, but I need them to understand what that means. And it's not being whisked up into the clouds, okay? And I don't want you to be deceived into thinking that's what it is from wolves out there who make a lot of money selling you that lie. Let's take it from somebody who understands ad revenue and how it works, okay? I get a very low ad revenue base. Per 1,000 views is how they do it. And you get a rate based on what advertisers want to advertise on your rate. And my rate is very low. It's about £4.86. That's about $6 per 1,000 views, roughly. I make a relatively decent living doing this, enough to pay the bills, keep a roof over my head, keep my family fed, and so forth. But the people who get millions of views, not the tens of thousands or something like this, but millions and millions of views off this fear porn propaganda, they are making a lot of money. 1 million views, what's that? Is that how many thousands is that? Is it 100,000? Is it 10,000 hundreds? I don't know, but either way, times that by $5. Okay, that's a lot of ad revenue for one video, isn't it? You have to think. Do the people saying these things and claiming to be prophets, who generate millions of views following them, that always prove to be wrong, but continue to double down and continue anyway, do you think these people are really doing it because God told them? Or do you think there may be other incentives behind it? You think Mammon might have something to do with this? What spirit do you think is truly talking to them? They might actually believe it. But what spirit do you think is truly talking through them? Do you think they've actually tested the spirit before they profess and go out there and say, I am a prophet and I have the truth? Do you think they have, realistically? I imagine the money has a lot to do with this. I really do. Okay, and I think in some way, I think people can deceive themselves into thinking, well, because I'm making so much money, God is blessing me for giving this message. And that's a sign that this is the right thing to do. I do think they delude themselves like this. I really do. At the end of the day, YouTube is an algorithm. It doesn't care about what you're talking about as long as it generates clicks and views. So the algorithm tends to boost stuff like that and put it out there. And before you know it, that's on the front page. And all the normies in the world who aren't even Christian or conspiracy theorists or anything of the sorts, And I don't like using that word, normie, but I'm saying it to a broader audience because that's kind of the word people like to use for some reason. But ordinary people out there see this on their home screen. And what do you think that makes them think when they see something like that? Do you think that looks good to the wider Christian community? Think about it. Now, look, I'm not here to say that tribulation isn't coming necessarily. I think we're going to go through some pretty tumultuous times. If this is the last time, then yes, there is war around the corner. Big, serious, psychedelic, never before seen, unprecedented warfare. Not just between brother against brother, man against man, but I'm talking about man against a force that they can't fully comprehend as well. They may pose as aliens, but they're more than likely demons in some way. And I think we're going to be tricked and deceived through many false philosophies and ideas and doctrines coming in the future once Christianity has been destroyed and crushed along with all the other religions in the world, after we've all just been completely exacerbated through the lies and the false predictions and the rest of it. We're going to be indoctrinated to follow a Luciferian false religion that is around the corner, and then people are going to be convinced to fight against a common enemy of some kind, and you best believe we're going to be convinced to make war with the camp of saints as written in Revelation. But no one's going to know that we're there or doing that or fulfilling such prophecy of the final end game of Revelation if we still think the rapture's around the corner or tribulation is yet to come upon us. And when the things do hit the fan, when it all goes down and it doesn't look anything like tribulation, many Christians are going to lose themselves. They're going to lose it. They're going to lose their faith. They're going to fall away en masse very quickly. And they were corralled into that position from an agenda that's been in the works for hundreds of years, since the end of that millennial reign. So I believe. And the idea is spreading. I just saw the other day, JT was talking with John Pounders about this. John Pounders on Now You See TV with his co-host berating it, saying this is the doctrine of the Jesuits and the demons, and then it's Satan deceiving people, and this is all just nonsense. Don't listen to it. But John Pounders, I could tell when he was on that show, he was listening, and I think he was more open-minded. He was like, well, actually, no, maybe there is something here. And he's stuck to his guns on the idea that, no, this is not, I think tribulation's coming, but he at least heard out JT. And I haven't had a chance to listen to this yet, but the fact that even John Pounders is now on his own without that David Carrico there to push him, to shame him into even thinking about it, on his own volition, thought about it and heard it out clearly. And I'm sure Joe did a fantastic job, as an ambassador for this idea. And I need to listen to it still. But the fact that it's growing to such a wide audience, tens of thousands of views now, it's growing rapidly, it's spreading far, it's bringing people to Christ, because finally it makes sense of where we are, who we are, what's really going on, and why there's some glaring discrepancies with the mainstream, mainline version of Christianity that we have to deal with today. It removes the element of faith, and instead Who doesn't want that as a Christian? To know for a fact that our Lord and Savior kept the word to the people in his time. He returned as promised in their time. He has not left us for 2,000 years here to figure it out. He came when he said he was. He established his kingdom. He is here. He is alive. He is reigning. He is risen. He is king over everything. And the time is truly almost up. You want to talk about the end times? The end times these people are talking about, it's not even the end times. There's supposed to be 1,000 years after their end times. What we're talking about, what we've been trying to say, what we're explaining here is the true end. And I don't have a date for you. I would never set a date. It's as long as it takes. I quite famously say, well, how long's a piece of string? How long does it take for Satan to gather an army, the numbers of the sands of the sea, to make war with the camp of saints? How long does that take? It takes as long as it takes. Who really knows how long a season is when it comes to this type of thing? We have no idea. Our history books are a lie. We don't even know how long it's truly been. We have no idea. We only live for a short period of time, and there are people with their hands in our history books who are being dictated and controlling what we think and believe with all the institutions that surround us for so long. And this rapture stuff reeks of their handiwork. Smells off to me. So there we go. Anyway, that's enough of that. I'm going to take a quick break. I need to calm down, and we'll come back and we'll carry on and we'll have some more fun. I got something exciting to share with you guys as well. And while I take a quick break, I'll just play an advert for you guys, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
In a world where 54% of Americans read below a 6th grade level,
Could you read this?
It's impossible. I just see his words everywhere.
one man wrote a book about the hidden truth behind clowns.
I finally finished it. But everything's going to be okay now. Links down below to the Amazon.
But he was about to find out
Your primary market is the USA, and it ranks 36th in global literacy rates, with over 43 million adults unable to read or write.
getting the truth to people is no day at the circus.
You know, sometimes I wonder if I'm the real clown.
Nobody reads anymore.
Have you considered recording an audiobook?
You're going to get a sore throat.
You're serious about this, aren't you?
You don't understand. I have to do this. The people have to know.
That book will ruin everything.
I will not use AI to record this.
We can't let him reach them.
This is just something I need to do. I don't even like clowns. The end.
Now they can hide that they're completely illiterate. This is amazing.
This season, playing on rectangular devices with black screens near you. The Nephilim looked like clowns. The audiobook.
When ordinary people think of autumn, they imagine shorter days, cozy fires, curling up with a great piece of literature, and basking in the warming scent of cinnamon with shades of burnt orange, which your other half has decided to spend the life savings on to decorate the home for only 2 months, just as God intended. Yet we must remember that this transition into the frosty abyss of winter creates the perfect conditions for the spread of the pathogen known as Halloween. This disease causes people to dress like demons and go door to door asking for free stuff. This public...
Yeah. No. They're listening to an advert right now. I can talk. It's all good. No, they don't know what's going on. Yeah, no, it came today. It came in the post. I've got it right here. Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thanks, Bill. Can I come to Africa and drop genetically engineered mosquitoes on starving children? Not this weekend. I think I've got a thing with the kids and the wife. You know how it is. Rain check though. Maybe I'll try it next month. Maybe in a month's time. I've got golf with the Rockefellers on Bohemian Grove. I think they want me to do an effigy to sacrifice to Molech as kind of a bit of a celebration for 100,000, but we'll see what I can squeeze in. You got the chopper though, right? You can just come pick me up. Yeah. Right. Cool. Anyway, I've got to get back to the show. I've got to get the advert's ending now, so I'm going to get going. Okay. Thanks, Gatesy. Right. I'll speak to you soon. Bye now. Okay. And we're back. There we go, guys. A bit advert for the book there. We've got Halloween around the corner. I thought it'd be good to crack out the old advert, dust it off. But yeah, something's just come in the post today. Look at this. Look what's arrived. Look at this, glorious. An official unboxing here. We've got this. It's the official shill card that comes with the 100,000 plaque, as you can see. This is cool. It's got a $30 per diem on it for lunch and snacks and things. It's pretty nice that they give you this when you get to 100,000. And I'm quite happy about it. It's good to be a part of the club. It's good to be a member. So that's be useful. We'll be cracking this out more often, and maybe treat the wife. You know how it is. We'll go to Burger King or something. That place is extortionate these days. What else have we got? We've got a letter. A very small letter. That's not even A5. I would call this some kind of A5.5 or something. It's slightly bigger than A5. That's from the CEO of YouTube. saying, make sure not to show anyone that card. Oh, never mind. Anyway, let's keep going with that. What's this? This is a congratulations on your milestone. We're honored to take part in recognizing your achievements and wanting your experience to be exceptional. You have a vial of adrenochrome on the way. Make sure to have a good time and let us know if there's any problems. Thanks, Society Awards, Rick. Okay, well, that's nice of them as well, isn't it? What else have we got here? We've got a plaque. It's light. It's hollow. It's not quite as good as I think it used to be, that I'm aware. It's got a mirror in it. That's nice. Nice and shiny mirror there. That's lovely. Understanding conspiracy, 100,000. That's well. This is gonna be nice. I'm gonna put this on there. Something like that. Will that do? The reflection's not great, is it? I'll figure something out. But the guy, the plaque has arrived. It's official. I think I remember. Do you remember, guys? Remember what's his name? A Call for an Uprising. I think I remember when he got his plaque. He made a big thing about it and burnt the thing and threw it on like a fire pit or something like that to prove a point. That guy has had more YouTube channels than I would even care to count. But it's a nice gift, isn't it? I do appreciate the official shill card I've got here. I'll be cashing this in no time. So yeah, 100,000. We did it, and before you knew it, I'm suddenly at 103,000. It happened overnight in no time whatsoever. So that's just the way the game goes. But I'm pretty happy about that. I'm pretty happy. I think you get the gold one when you hit 1 million subscribers. So here's to 900,000 more. And let's see how far we can keep this going before they decide to actually kick me off, just for fun. Right, guys. So back to the chat. Let's see what you guys are saying. I'm going to do a quick Q&A. And then, I'm just going to keep it open today. I've done my little thing. I've talked about the Rapture. What else can I possibly say? What else can I possibly say other than what I just said about the Rapture situation? If anyone's got any questions, get them in now. You've got me. It's a Truth or Therapy session. What's on your mind? What have you been thinking about? Are you all Charlie Kirked out? Have you all had enough? Are you all at your wit's end? We're listening to that now. Are you ready for it to be memory hold? Yeah, I'm sure you all are. Glad I found you, says Alex77. I'm glad to have you here, Alex. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Congratulations, says AJ London lad. Thank you. This made my day, Paul says. And thanks. I'm glad you appreciate that. You're a crack up, Paul. Watch out. You're in the club now. Next thing, you'll be having a haircut. At my haircut, I've got it booked for a couple of weeks' time. I'm spreading it out. We have a holiday coming up, and it's I don't want to get a haircut too early or too late. So if it's terrible, it can grow out a little bit, So yeah, we're planning it. We've got it booked for a couple of weeks. That just reminded me. I don't know why it reminded me, but I did get a message through recently that my book, I've ordered 10 hardcovers and they've told me they're going to arrive on the 30th. So for the people who have pre-ordered, if you're listening, there's 4 people who've already pre-ordered 10 of these. Out of this batch of 10, 4 people have already got theirs. It's arriving to me on the 30th, so I'll be shipping them out as soon as they come in. So hopefully you should be getting yours within the first week of October or something like that if you've already pre-ordered. If you are interested and you want one of these from this batch of 10 that's coming in on the 30th, just email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com and you can get yourself a signed copy, a hardcover, sent from this office by me personally. So there we go. Congrats on the play button, man, for creators like us. That is a lifetime achievement. Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere. When you've been doing it for as long as I have, and I've been creeping up to 100,000, it's kind of the excitement's gone now. I'm kind of over it. I know it sounds horrible. I'm not trying to put it down, but it's kind of now it's here. It's a bit of like an anticlimactic experience. It's like, okay, so it's finally turned up. It's a bit cheap. It's a bit light looking. It's not as great as I thought it was going to be, and you realize it's like, well, it is a big achievement, but there's more work to be done. The work's never done. And that's just me. I'm just a self-deprecating British person. What can I say? It's kind of like, yeah, it's great and all, but it's not 1 million, is it? That's kind of how I see it now. And again, I'm sorry. That's not to put down smaller creators out there who are out there doing fantastic work. All I'm saying is it's kind of 100,000 itself isn't the goal. The goal isn't to get subscribers. The goal is to get the message out and to win people for Christ. So this type of stuff just does seem quite anticlimactic, trivial when you actually get it. For a Christian YouTuber like me, you know, and I'm sure to many other people out there, it's still a big achievement. It's worth celebrating, but I'm not going to actually. You know, my wife got some balloons for me and we had some fun. She made me a little trophy, which I've got up here. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me just quickly, I'll just play the Zoom game on this. There we go, get some details. There's the trophy behind, as you can see. And it says 100k on there. A little homemade trophy. And obviously it means a lot to me. And then on the other side it says official shill. So I thought it was funny. She's in on the joke, and she definitely helped me make this official shill card as well very quickly before the show started. I don't know if you guys can see that, but we've got some encoded satanic numbers in there, and we've got the little I logo as well. And yeah, we got, what's the number on the back? It's 666. We've got a few 33s thrown in there, some 1776 thrown in there as well, some 911s, some 923s. We got it all. We have some fun. Yeah. So yeah, at the end of the day, like I said, for a channel like mine, it's not about the numbers. It actually really isn't. It's just about getting the message out and doing the best we can for as long as we can, because we know this game is rigged. We know they're going to basically just take it away from us at any moment. They pull the rug out from under us at any point. I don't know when. Could be at any moment, you know. And if you like what I do and want to keep supporting me so I can continue doing this, consider becoming a patron. I've got to earn this shill card, so consider becoming a patron. That really is the best way to help me, and I have uploaded stuff on there which you don't find anywhere else, and early access stuff is on there as well. The next episode of Occult Artist is on there, which premieres on the 26th on my other channel, Understanding Creativity, this one here. You can go and check that out. In fact, while we're here, let me just quickly I'll just quickly pause that, and I'm gonna browse. Sorry, guys, bear with me. I've got it somewhere here. Or have I deleted it? Or have I already deleted it? That sounds like something I would do. Bugger. Yeah, I've already deleted it. Never mind. Or is that it? Can I play this? Can I play this? No? Oh, it's my fault. Hang on. Yeah, I'm going to play you the trailer for the next episode, just for fun, while I've got you guys here. Hype you up a little bit for what's coming. But yeah, the full thing is actually available on Patreon. Media source. Okay. Browse. Promo. And this is just going to play now.
So traumatizing is the key, and desensitizing. And then they would be completely reprogrammable with whatever personality the psychologist saw fit. Even in the 70s, the CIA admitted that over 10,000 children had been taken from orphanages and entered into MKUltra programs, which is just heartbreaking. Leonard Cohen in Montreal underwent experiments, you know, at least some willingly. But Cohen comes from a long line with quite a dark occult connection.
Yeah, so there we go, guys. That's coming the 26th of September on my other channel, Understanding Creativity. So be there to check that out when it comes out. It's only part one. It's actually another hour, 10-minute segment coming out next week as well. It's a big one. It's deep. I learn a lot from the presentation Susan gave, and I'm sure you will too. There's still a lot to learn there. It's incredible, to be honest. It's actually incredible stuff. So yeah, go check out the other channel if you haven't already. Are you on Spotify as a podcast, says AJ London Lad. Yes, you can listen to everything I do on podcast format, wherever you get your podcasts from. I upload everything onto there that you see on YouTube as well, in audio format with video as well on Spotify. So there we go. MKUltra is terrifying, says Tom Cooper. It is, absolutely. Greetings from Utah. Appreciate your work. Your book has allowed my thoughts to know I'm not crazy living in a capsule of Mormonism, Nephilim, I'd say. Well, thanks for that, Henley. I appreciate it. Or Hinley. What else have we got here? We've got Everyone Got Left Behind. It seems that way. So, not reading questions, says Elva. No, clearly not. No, I had to go in there for a second, didn't I? That was actually somebody who was true to his word and would actually follow through with something for once. So, I apologize. I do this. I trail off. Why is bro spamming nonsense? Who's spamming nonsense? Me? I don't think I am. Right, guys, so someone there asked me thoughts on 3i Atlas, if that's okay. This is from Niche Fan. Yes, I have made a video about that not that long ago. Let me just see if I can show you my channel so you can see along with me. My channel, where is it? There we go. So you can also go and check out some of my videos and what's been going on. So if I share the screen with you, well, that's definitely not it, is it? What's this? What do we look at? Wow, sorry, that is incredibly zoomed in. Give me a second. That's on me. That's on me, guys. Is that... Okay, never mind. It crashed, so I can't share the screen with you guys. Never mind. I'm gonna have to do this. But yeah, on my channel, I do have a video where I talk about this, the coming comet, 3i Atlas, and obviously I give my take, which is the typical biblical cosmologist take, that we are in an enclosed system and there aren't vast infinite universes and stars and suns and things flying through space that are enormous, the size of cities, and could kill us at any moment, and debris and comets. I think it's all smoke and mirrors. I think what we see up there are lights moving in the sky. And I think from simple dots, they come up with a lot of information from that simple dots, that extremely grainy pixel, and think it means something. And I think that's what magic truly is, being able to convince something convince people of something just from words alone and images. And I think a lot of it is a lot of hype about nothing. Now, I think the stars are for signs and for seasons from God. And I'm not saying these are not signs or omens or things we shouldn't be paying attention to, but they're certainly not rocks covered in ice flying through space. Now, that being said, the hype surrounding this right now, which is, you obviously have that scientist coming out, Avi Loeb, I think his name is that Avi Loeb? Is that his name? I think that's his name, yeah. He's kind of the big scientist out there saying this could possibly be an alien craft from interstellar space. And it has all the signs that it could be something we don't truly understand. And as it gets closer now, more scientists are jumping on board saying, actually, this could be something because it's not behaving correctly. First of all, according to mainstream scientific understanding of the solar system, when a comet comes into our solar system, the heat blasting out from the star in the center makes a tail appear when the ice rock comes into it. And the tail tends to appear behind the rock wherever the sun is. So the sun fires one way, hits the rock, tail appears behind. But that's not what's happening with 3i Atlas. The tail's in front, going towards the sun instead rather than away. And that's unheard of. That's bizarre. That's strange. That doesn't make any sense. That's unconventional. How is this possible? And it's almost like it has its own aura around it as well, like it's firing out something from the front in order to create a force field that destroys debris or something, kind of like a conscious or mechanical object in some way. And then from this tiny dot, they've managed to somehow figure out the gases that are coming out of it, okay? And it doesn't make any sense. It's almost like it's just releasing nothing but, I think it's like nothing but carbon. There's no water or something like this, which is what you'd expect from an ice ball, But if it's carbon, then is it an engine burning fuel, releasing carbon into the... Like, what's going on? It seems like it could be a spaceship. And this is the type of talk we have around this. And this is where the hype's being drummed up on all the major YouTube channels, and the news cycle is coming out and hyping up even more. These aliens are possibly just around the corner. And it's going to make its approach to Earth, its closest point will be behind the sun. And we won't see it in October when it appears. It will be out of view and observation because it'll be hiding behind the sun. And people are saying that's the perfect opportunity from there to release a sneak attack and send in its little vessels to come and invade us or something like this. So could 2025 be the year of the alien invasion? That's what the hype surrounding this particular comet was. But plot twist, suddenly, unprecedentedly, out of nowhere, about 10 other comets have just appeared. Okay, this is the latest advancement, and I do have to make a video about this to kind of show you guys what the common thought on it all is, because I know you probably don't know or follow that kind of thing, because, you know, space is fake and gay as far as we're concerned, so we tend not to bother with that kind of thing anymore, do we? But you got to keep your finger on what do people in the world believe is happening, and I could lay it out for you, and this is roughly what people believe is happening right now. Chaos in the skies, and something odd is going on with this particular one, and it's drumming up a lot of hype. And let's see what happens as it approaches the sun. Will it burn up and disappear and fizzle away? Will it be much about nothing? Is this just a Comet Ison situation again, you know, which is all about hype over nothing? I'm sure the Rapture people may come up with a reason to incorporate this into the narrative in some way as well. You know, but really, I do think these things, from a truly spiritual, biblical, grounded standpoint, if you want to take it seriously, are angels. The lights in the sky that move are wandering stars, and the wandering stars have a serious punishment waiting for them if you read the Book of Enoch, because they make people believe things and turn their attention away from God. But it's possible as well, some of these things, like the streaks that appear from comets or meteors or so forth, which are angels doing their appointed seasonal thing as a sign to the people below of the times of where God is. And I don't know what to make of that necessarily. I understand in the relative ancient past, perhaps not as ancient as they like to tell us or make out, but comets have been omens of death or change to a lot of cultures out there, and often bring with them extreme light shows of just insane displays of electromagnetic phenomena in the atmosphere, in the sky above, perhaps in the firmament, you know, and often they are considered an omen of something terrible around the corner. I know the Aztecs and the Mayans thought the same thing, and after the omen, that's when, not long after, Cortez arrived, and then there was the destruction of and takeover of Maya by the Spanish and the rest of it, you know. So I know they have their own reasons, and because of the sign that came prior, they believed Quetzalcoatl was returning again, and that Cortez was a manifestation of Quetzalcoatl, and they gave over the throne to him very quickly because they thought there was the gods returning because of the omens that came prior. So, you know, these things have been intrinsically tied to human behavior and belief for centuries, you know, in many cultures. But if you want to just go from biblical understanding, they are for signs primarily, these things. They're a symbol for something, a sign of something. But they are conscious entities, not rocks, I believe. I think they are angels putting on a display. And angels are not just like men with wings, like biblically speaking. They are transumorphic entities of intense power and light and form and glory in many ways, and can shapeshift and manifest however they seem, while covered in eyes, while spinning as wheels within wheels with many animal heads. They're not like the stereotypical symbolic paintings from the Renaissance period of angels, beautiful men with wings and white robes, you know. Some angels, though I do think lower level messenger angels can come looking as men, that's for sure. Don't get me wrong, you know, there's plenty of times in the Bible where that is a good example, where they appeared as men. But I think some classes of angels at the very top in the hierarchy, closest to God, look insane and behave insane and have jobs to play and roles to play within the enclosed system. And I think there's been a good job in this particular season to convince the whole earth that it's the opposite. We're small, insignificant, surrounded by billions of miles of emptiness and space, and we don't really know what's going on, and it's chaos theory, you know. I think that inversion of the truth keeps us looking at these things passively, as though they're just interesting phenomena. But realistically, when you understand the true biblical spiritual implication of what these things are, suddenly, and how close they actually are, that changes where you stand in existence. It changes your position in existence. You're no longer insignificant. You're no longer small. You're a part of a very important narrative that's happening, and God is not far from you. And he created a place for you to stay, and he created this beautiful system. And we are important suddenly, no longer a mold on a rock, So there's many reasons for why that narrative is in existence. But I think the hype right now is because they do plan on faking an alien invasion in the future. And I think that is to crush Christianity. Personally, I think it's a part and parcel story narrative they've been working on for a while. Because aliens don't fit into tribulation. I think it will completely just wipe out any belief the Christians had about what was supposed to happen. It's going to be completely out of this world, and I think they're going to convince mankind to advance their own evolution to become like gods like them, to join the Galactic Federation or something like this. I think there'll be bad aliens that turn up, and the good aliens are going to help save us from the bad aliens, but we have to change ourselves genetically and advance our technologies like they have in order to defend ourselves effectively. It's going to be like a crappy Hollywood B-movie playing out in front of us because the script writers aren't that imaginative, But the truth is, these are the Watchers, the fallen angels, those who left the first estate, who chose to become the wandering stars rather than stay in their allotted place by God. The ones who convinced mankind to worship them. It's just their play. It's their final play. And this narrative of comet from interstellar space turning up, having odd mechanical properties, is just to play into that narrative and to lie to us that these are space visitors come to save us, rather than very terrestrial entities who have been here for millennia, who have been working a long con on us to convince us that they are our saviors through this lie they're going to spin, And I think holographic projection technology, UFOs that have been built mechanically in underground bunkers will be released, and it's going to look like we're under attack by aliens and all the rest of it. And it could coincide with this idea as well that perhaps New Jerusalem appears, the floating city from heaven, and it's Jesus Christ and his saints, the camp of saints will descend. And I've postulated and theorized a lot and made many videos about this, that when the camp of saints arrives, the whole earth will be indoctrinated to believe an alien mothership has just appeared. Because that's what it's going to look like from our perspective. Because this thing is like 1,600 miles wide, squared. It's the size of continents. So it's going to look like an enormous mothership has just landed above the earth. And I think they could then release their own horde upon us to make us think we're under attack by the mothership. But we're not. That's Jesus. That's Christ coming down from heaven, before the final descent of the heaven and earth becoming one, perhaps. But again, there's a lot of speculation there. I can't say that's exactly what's going to happen. I do not rest my hat on that. I do not say, God gave me a vision and this is exactly how it's going to be. I'm just playing with ideas here based on the programming we've been given and what the narrative is for the end times and after the 1,000 years, So that's all speculation for me. I don't think they're going to not play the alien card. They have been working too hard and spent too much money into programming us to believe aliens are going to turn up at some point. They're not going to waste it, okay? They're going to follow through with that. And they just need to convince enough people. A lot of people might see through it as bullshit, but as long as the majority, or at least a decent wedge, believe it's true, that's enough to get the ball rolling as far as they're concerned. And I think they're losing grip of the narrative a little bit lately. And I think out of fear and stupidity, they may just hit the red button and go full hog on the alien invasion thing to try and push their agenda forward faster before too many people figure out it's going to be bullshit, I do. Who knows? Again, guys, completely in the realm of speculation here. This is not, do not rest your hat on anything I have just said as facts in any way, shape, or form. This is just a conspiracy theory. Quite literally, I have no idea how it's going to play out. But there's just some opinions and ideas surrounding this Atlas 3i situation. Atlas being the god who had to hold the cosmic orb on his back, the whole sky, to hold up the sky and the heavens, it's all very esoteric, isn't it, when you get down to it? Aliens are fake and gay. Hollywood has been indoctrinating for this forever. Superheroes fighting each other, aliens constantly invading while Earth makes its last stand. Exactly, yeah. They're not going to waste the predictive programming. They've spent too much money. Paul, do you know the solar plexus clown gliders from 4chan? It's one of the things that best fits your theory, even though it's false and possibly based on your work. The solar plexus clown gliders, I did first hear about them in 2016 when I first started the theory. Is it about my work or not? I don't know. But it's been a long time since I've looked into that. But yes, I have heard that phrase before. And I'm probably going to have to revisit it to remember what it is you're trying to tell me here. So bear with me on that one. But I've seen your message, and I will remind myself, and perhaps next live show I'll give you some commentary. Right now, I just can't remember enough about it to say anything about it. The so-called Enlightenment time of the Copernican revolution, sowing seeds of deception that have snowballed into a massive deception. Interesting, yeah. Floating cities appeared over China a few years back. They did, didn't they? Yeah, very rectangular cuboid city-shaped stuff over the skies. I remember those videos. Very interesting. It was around the same time we were seeing blue light phenomena happening in the sky as well, like the Norway spiral and stuff like this. Maybe they were testing a lot of the capabilities for projection then, perhaps. I don't really know. But talk about predictive programming. Remember that Spider-Man movie? Is it Far From Home or something? Where, is it Mysterio or Mysterion, the guy with the orb on his head, was making it seem like monsters were attacking cities and destroying cities, but really it was just drones projecting it, and they were the things with the weapons attached, making it seem like things were being destroyed. It was all just a fake projection. I do feel like, in a way, the predictive programming was really strong in that one, that's for sure. Christ does call those who chase signs and wonders a wicked and adulterous generation. Matthew 12:39, meaning unfaithful to godlike spiritual infidelity. We should focus on our own salvation, says Segnosis. I tend to believe that, yeah. I think it's folly to follow the signs as though we can figure something out or understand what God's plans are. We need to focus on ourselves as individuals and our own salvation, absolutely. And be a signpost as best we can to get other people there. But realistically, we are very limited in our capacity for what we can do, especially in this time. Mysterio was always my favorite, says the Cult of Con. There you go. I think Paul has got it right about the alien invasion. I should do another show with him, Hijacker. It's good to see you, Hijacker. Thanks for getting in touch. How's retirement treating you? Rapture clown stole my salvation. Paul, what is your take on the advantage of spreading end times narrative by the Earth Theatre? I'm not sure what you said there, Golden Fern. I'm not sure what that means. Can you elaborate a bit more? When I saw the movie, I said he was blue beam programming. Yeah, seems that way. That's one of the theories, Charlie Kirk. No blood. Okay, I see. I definitely agree with Paul in his invasion theory. Again, it's just a theory. Look, there's a lot of leeway and work that can be done with that idea and concept. They're just ideas and concepts, you know. How would they do it? And when you really logically start and break it down and think about it, that's kind of what I've just come up with so far. But I'm open to interpretation. Someone sent me a really interesting message, actually, an email. Let me see if I can get that up. I thought this was a really good take on the whole thing. And let's see if I can find it. Is it still there? No, I can't find it. I don't know where they sent me the message. They sent me a message somewhere, which I thought was really great. And if I can very loosely here remember what they said, I'm sorry if whoever wrote it, I'm butchering this, but they came up with a good idea that everyone thought that the world ended in 2012. It was the end of the Mayan calendar, which obviously the Mayans go around the plumed serpent or the dragon symbolism, this feathered serpent symbolism, you know, and they thought the cycle was coming to an end at that period. And he theorized or postulated, was 2012 actually officially the end of the little season? And that's when the dragon was thrown into the lake of fire, removed. It was the end of the cycle, you know, and that was his time over. And since then, like a power vacuum has been left behind because all the secret societies, all the cults that followed him, don't know what to do. There's no leader anymore, so they're just fumbling about pushing forward agendas and ideas and causing chaos everywhere. Everything's falling apart, and everyone's like waking up suddenly. Everyone's like seeing through the illusion quickly since that time. Everyone's they're losing grip. They can't keep people under wraps anymore. And he says because prior to 2012, it seemed like people were just under a haze and didn't really question much. Or didn't really go that deep with their questioning and never really got to these weird schizo levels of understandings of truth, and never went this far with their speculations, and people just really didn't see through it with spiritual eyes. They just didn't have the eyes to see then for the better part of the 20th and the other part of the 21st century, but the better part of the 20th century, the 19th century, and the 18th century. Like people were just easily malleable, swayed with the programming, were being directed, very little revolution or change or pushback in any way. People, even during the latter part of the 20th century, after the horrible war culling period, keeping the populations down, people thought everything was great and wonderful and were happy to go along and didn't really want to question the government, and trust was high in authority and all this type of thing. It's like the little season of Satan, while he was ruling for his time, he did a really good job. And no one really knew they were deceived. No one thought about it. No one questioned the history or anything, really, They may be the odd person here and there, but they were crazy quacks that no one listened to and whatever, But since 2012, there's been this mass awakening and everyone's suddenly, like, seeing everything. Is it because Satan's gone? Was that the end of the little season and we're in this final period now where his people who he left behind are trying to, like, figure out what to do with us and what's the next plan? What do we do next? What are we supposed to do here? Like, and they're just fighting each other and wars all over the place and death and they're giving the game away too easily. You know what I mean? They've lost subtlety because Satan was very subtle, wasn't he? And it's kind of they've lost it all. There's no they're directionless now. In a way, I thought that was a really interesting take. I don't know if that's true. I just thought the way he described it to me, I was like, that's the level of theorizing I love to hear. That's the kind of, that excites me, that kind of thinking. Just speculate and see where it leads, and does it fit, and then take what's good, take what's bad, learn from it, and move on. But I thought that was a great thought exercise. And who knows? Paul, did you see Mind Unveiled's take on the MK Ultra symbolism in the movie Weapons? He shouted out to you, says Matrix Unraveled. I haven't watched the whole video, but I did quickly jump to where he mentioned me because people kept telling me he gave me a shout out. And at the end, I did see, he says, I'm interested to hear what Paul has to say about this because of the main witch character looks like a clown. And I saw briefly his idea that she seems to represent America, symbolically speaking as well, and there's different versions of this woman. Some of them it's a man, some of it's clearly just a beast of some kind that has this look about them and they look like clowns. So yeah, I seldom have time to watch movies these days, and when I get the time, which is rare, I'll try and find and watch the movie and I'll give a critique and review and throw my 2 cents into the ring. But right now, I just don't have time to watch movies. I'm sorry, I just don't do that. I don't watch movies. I don't watch TV. I don't have time. I'm a full-time father with 2 children, and I'm a family man. I got time with the wife as well, and I've got this channel to run. I've got a book to write. I'm juggling 15,000 plates at once, and I rarely sleep. Even after this show, I've got another interview with somebody else I've got to get on and sort out. So it's kind of when do I have time to watch a movie? But I have heard that it's linked to my theory in many ways. Who knows? Maybe they were inspired by my work. Who knows? But I'll try and watch it and see what happens. 2012 really sparked my curiosity and started asking myself questions, says Radio, and searching for truth. In a way, it all started there for me. Yeah, it seems like a veil was lifted in 2012 for a lot of people, and the ball was rolling, I thought that was interesting. There's an interesting take. So things definitely changed since then. But also, I'm hyper aware of the revelation of the method agenda and the idea that there will be a revealing in the future of the truth, the externalization of the hierarchy. The hidden hand will be revealed, and the public will get to know who's really in control of society in a way where it's done so they accept it. And perhaps 2012 was just the beginning of that, realistically, you know. Did you see Mind Unveiled? Yeah, sorry, I've gone back too far back there. I really enjoyed your talk with a person I don't remember about DMT entities. Really makes me question the big push lately for recreational use of THC, psilocybin, and other psychedelics. LSD is wild. Yeah, I often talk about. I come from a psychedelic background before I was saved, so I know a thing or two. I'm not just making stuff up, you know. And my research has shown me that the entities you meet while on DMT are not your friends. They're not your friends, and they don't have your best interest at heart. But a lot of DMT takers naively assume benevolence when they really, 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 really should be running the other way, because they're entering a war zone ignorantly. They have no idea what they're getting themselves into. They are walking straight into no man's land, as far as I'm concerned, without a helmet or a weapon or anything. In fact, with a big sign saying, "I'm over here, come get me." You know, it's ridiculous. There's enemies everywhere in that realm. And biblical history will make that clear. And why they're there, and all the answers can be known. You don't have to assume anything. We can actually find out through history exactly what is there and why they're there. And the DMT jesters are not your friend. And they're not a reflection of the Jungian archetype of humanity's collective shadow. They are separate entities from us with their own thoughts, feelings, and consciousness who are disembodied currently. And they will tell you anything they think you'll believe apart from that truth. So they're not your friend. Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. A lot of people don't like hearing that message. They get really angry with me. And then they like to then beat me over the head about being a stupid, naive Christian, not listening. That no. Before I was a stupid, naive Christian, as you say, I was a hardcore psychedelic tripper, new age type Gnostic. You know, I was there with you. I've been where you are. I was you. It's kind of, I know what you think. I know what you believe. I know why you believe it, and you're wrong. It's just wrong. Makes you feel good, though, doesn't it? And that's it, really. Paul, this solar plexus clown glider business, despite being clearly a troll, really hits the idea that interdimensional creatures take on clown forms to parasitize the human mind. And if you continued that, I've lost it. But yeah, I loosely remember that. But I'm going to have to look into it thoroughly before I continue. Do you mind elaborating on your non-aggression principle, such as killing in self-defense, to killing righteously, to not killing as per the 10 Commandments? Congrats on 100K. Look, I think before violence, you should always try to talk or de-escalate as much as you can. Now, if somebody is coming at you to kill you, by all means, I think you could defend yourself. I'm not against defending yourself when someone's clearly about to try and cut your head off, you know, or shoot you or something like that, or kill a family member, you know, defend you and your family, yes, against the barbarian hordes, whoever they may be, or whatever's going on. Absolutely. You know, I think that can be justified in the moment. But if you go out and immediately go to violence where it's not necessary, then you've got problems there. I think a lot of things can be de-escalated before violence. A lot of times. But in this world, I think a lot of people turn to violence first, especially this day and age. Now, when it comes to raising children, I think non-aggression is the aim. Don't beat your children. It's not going to work. That's not going to help you. And try to be as calm as you can when dealing with situations. Look, I'm not a perfect parent. I get angry. I got issues with it. Issues I didn't even realize I had until I had kids, with my own anger. Probably things deeply rooted in the way I was raised that I've suppressed in some way that are coming out now, and I'm trying to deal with them as best I can. I feel shame sometimes for the way I behave with my own children, and I question where the hell did that come from? You know, why am I being this way? And it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. It really isn't. It's. I'm not passing judgment. I'm not saying my way is perfect, but my wife has been teaching me and helping me understand gentle parenting. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that. But it's basically the non-aggression principle. And when someone is aggressive, like a child or a person, whoever it is, there's underlying reasons for that can be addressed before resorting to an eye for an eye situation, or ignoring the pain in a way, or dismissing it, especially when it comes to children. You know, I think it's okay for people to have emotions and to be angry, sure. Is it okay for us to react in kind to their emotions and anger? Probably not. We're called to try and be as level-headed as possible in those moments. And I think you'll find that compassion, that understanding can lead to healing, and possible stronger bonds and friendships, rather than, well, they're being aggressive towards me, so they're my enemy, so I'm going to go and be aggressive towards them and destroy them or remove them. You know, I think there's other ways. And I think in many ways spreading the gospel, that message, is based on that principle that, you know, you just spread the word, walk in love and kindness. And, you know, if someone does treat you badly, treat them better. If they demand your shoes, give them your coat as well. And you'll find that act of kindness will change them. It will give them the guilt necessary for them to reevaluate their own choices and ideas. And I think where possible, non-aggression is always the best answer. And it's harder. It's actually harder than just shouting or hitting or attacking or dismissing or destroying. It's easier to destroy than it is to build. And I think we need to put in that effort to build. And that's basically what I mean when I say non-aggression. You know, and I don't think, for example, going to war with the evil leftists and removing them or even killing them is the best solution to the current, to how they've been treating us. I really don't think that's actually that's when I mentioned the non-aggression principle idea, and I think that's where what you were asking, isn't it? But I think self-defense is okay. I don't have an issue with self-defense personally. Are you going to go in and mess around a bit in another conspiracy rabbit hole, like the Saturn and its cube thing, says Mascots. The Saturn cube thing, I got over that years ago. That's like one of the first basic bitch conspiracies you learn about, like when you first wake up. You know, I was dealing with that in like 2012, 2013 period. Yes, I understand if you unfold this cube, it turns into a cross, which is representative of the Christian religion. But the cross itself, you know, doesn't have to be a chunky cube yet if you don't want it to be, you know. And I think the evil ones worship Saturn, or the Black Sun as they call it in many ways, and the cube or the hexagon on Saturn's south pole I think is bullshit. I don't think that's real. I think that's a composite image they've just made up, and they don't know at all that is there in any way, shape or form, so I don't buy it. I don't think crosses are intrinsically linked to Saturn just because of that one thing. I think they would like us to believe that, to discredit Christ and God. But Christ died and was crucified in a traditional Roman way. And we know what that entails. And it doesn't necessarily always entail a cross. Sometimes it can be just a stick or a tree, you know, in some way. Crucifixion's brutal. And the cross may not even have been a cross. It may have been a T shape as well, rather than a cross. I think we understand when we have a cross that it represents the death and resurrection of our Savior, not just the thing he was tortured on and died. And I think it's a reminder of the suffering he went through for us. And I don't think that's negative or puts a negative spin on Christianity. It's the most important part. Without the resurrection, then our faith is in vain. It was for nothing, you know, and that reminder that he conquered death for us is a wonderful thing. I don't think the cross is a depressing symbol, which I think is what you were trying to make out in the original message to me, wasn't it? So that's just my take there initially. the actual language says Jesus was hung on a tree, so we don't even really know it was a cross-shaped or made of beams like everyone seems to think. Exactly, yeah, so you get me, Connor, you know what I'm saying. I don't think it's something we should dwell on necessarily as like I don't carry a cross or put crosses up for that reason, you know. I don't think it's the symbols and the talismans are necessary for worship of Christ or the rituals and all these type of things. I think it's a good reminder for some people. I get it, you know, and I get why people do it. But for me personally, I tend to steer away from that kind of thing. Time is, in fact, a crucible. That truth can either be crippling or enlightening. The choice is yours. You know, if you want to get all esoteric about it, yeah, I guess you could describe it like that. Basic bitch conspiracy. I think Blake liked that one. I share parents with the millennials. So maybe there's that. Gen Alpha are being raised to be bratty iPad kids. Not our children. We don't really allow screen time. He hasn't got an iPad. No. But I get it. I know it is happening. Don't get me wrong. But you got to be the change you want to see in the world. No, we didn't even give our kids dummies, pacifiers. We that's for parents to shut the children up. That's what those are for. But the effect it has on the teeth and the gums, and we just didn't want to put them through that. And we've got through 2 children now without needing one. Let them cry. It's not a big deal, you know. Comfort them, you know. I think dummies are to shut babies up, aren't they? But kids are allowed. Accept that. Don't deform their mouths while you're at it. And also, like I said, we also don't. With screen time, you know, we didn't even show our first son any screen time until he was 2, and even then it's extremely limited. And we often go through fasting periods now because if we just give him just a little bit, it sends him crazy, and we don't like it. We don't like what it does to him. So, you know, we're very, very careful with screen time. Thanks for answering, Paul. Always striving to find the most godly way forward in this life. Oh, well, I'm glad you appreciate the answer. Jesus comes to end demons. Well, yeah, that's a part of it. Certainly, he gives us the authority to trample on serpents. That's right. The far left is not the problem; they are a symptom, says Cult of Con. True. Yeah, so that's how I see it too. I think they're all being played big time. Absolutely. Check out of the left versus right paradigm, says Healing Journey. I agree. That's the first step to healing, I think, as a people. People here at least used to be more blood and guts. Now it's more insidious violence, cowardly even. The whole young men can't handle a punch, so end someone, etc. All very weak, says Old School Pete. Yeah, I know this sounds crazy to a lot of people probably listening, but I think getting punched in the face can help you in a big way growing up. Getting in a fight, a real fight, helps a lot, especially for young men. And I do think there's a lot of less of that is happening these days, and I think it's causing a problem. And I don't fully understand the psychology behind it, but I think you can tell when somebody's never been in a fight or has never been punched in the face. You can tell. Like, there's something about that man, that person, that individual who's not been through that process. And the funny thing is about men who fight, I remember when I was in high school, I was getting bullied for being overweight. I told my wife this story the other day, and I'd been bullied for being overweight a lot. I was a chunky kid. I was quite chunky, you know. I could say I was a chubby kid, chubby British kid, and I hated myself for it, and I got bullied a lot for it, and that's the thing people would pick on. That's what kids do, And one day I just snapped, and the person who was doing it to me, it was kind of like a part of the popular group, if you want to. That's a very American way of describing it, But they were definitely, if there was cliques, they were certainly higher up in the hierarchy systems than I was, And he had all his other mates were laughing along with him, and it was like making fun of me and calling me fat and stuff. And I was quiet, you know, and was taking it. And then I just snapped, and I literally just got up and got the guy in a headlock after a scrap, you know, tussle. And I got him in a headlock, and I didn't let go. I saw red. He was going to die. I was going to kill him. And I wasn't even thinking. I was in a blur of rage, violent rage. I just lost myself. I completely gone. I was gone. And I wasn't letting go. And I think everyone realized, like, oh shit, you know, like, and they had to like rip me off him because he was going purple. He was going to, you know, this guy was losing it. And I kind of just left. I went away, and they went away. It was one of those, like, no one saw that coming type of moments, you know. And the weird thing is, like an hour or two afterwards, they approached me, shook my hand, and said, "That was pretty good on you, mate. That was pretty good, you know, a fair game," and all this type of stuff. And they were like happy I stood up for myself in a way, and they like respected me more because I did stand up for myself and fought my own in that moment. And I feel that's when I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the dynamics of what it is to be a boy and a man growing up, and how men view fights. And it's kind of, the fighting was more of a bonding experience and a show of mutual respect than it was hatred based or anything like that. It was like a hazing testing thing to see what you're made of, in a sense. It's really it's odd. And I think moments like that have continued through my life, where you realize, you know, and you know, I've been I'm often on the receiving end of being attacked rather than attacking myself. Don't get me wrong. I think I've been punched in the face 3 times. Like on 3 separate occasions, spread out of like 5-year periods. And I think I've punched somebody in the face once myself, again, as a reaction to just constantly being like berated and bullied. And then once you do defend yourself, they stop. And then they never do it again, and they respect you for it, and you have a better bond for it. This is the weird thing. But the other times I've been punched in the face, it was by really rough people who were just out to hurt people. It was a different case, strangers, you know what I mean? And another one who punched me in the face was, I thought he was my friend. It turns out he'd been harboring a lot of resentment towards me for reasons I don't understand. I can only put it down to jealousy for reasons, again, I don't understand, but that's clearly what the issue was in the context of what was going on. And I was just talking to some stranger, some girl. He taps me on the shoulder, I turn around, and he just punches me square in the face. And then tells me to fuck off, you know, and all this type of thing. And I'm like, what? Why did you just do that? What's wrong? Like, what's wrong, man? I was baffled. I didn't understand at the time. It took me a long time to realize that, oh, he thought I was like stealing his girl from him, who was just met. Apparently, like I was just talking to a random stranger, wasn't even interested. I was just whatever, you know what I mean? But in his mind, he had this whole narrative being weaved. And again, I think these experiences, these altercations, getting in fights, you know, and having these moments, these scraps, and something about it does something to you. It does something to you, you know. And I grew up in quite a relatively rough working class environment place. There was a lot of gangs going on, and I got swept up in inadvertently in the wrong place at the wrong time situations where it's like, why am I even here? What is going on? Like, there's nothing to do with me, but still here I am running for my life, you know. Things like that kept happening growing up every now and then. And I do, like I said, I do feel like in a way it gives you like a sense of the understanding of human nature in a way that you don't get if you don't get into those fights. And I think like a lot of people stay indoors a lot more, don't interact socially more. I think fighting has been seen as something not more something you shouldn't be doing as kids. And I think different parenting styles. I think we have a softer generation as a result. But I think you're probably right there. And even I, from my own experiences, can see that in a way that might not actually be a good thing. Like, I think it's something that men in general, call it testosterone or what it is, but I feel like there's a process of learning or gaining that confidence physically that's important to the development of a male mind. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I think that I don't know the science behind it. I don't understand it necessarily. I'm not an expert at any of this, but I can see there's something about it. It helps the process of maturity in men in some way. Because I think men are naturally built to fight in a sense. I think there's like something in us about that. I think there's something about it. I don't want to say evolutionary, but there's definitely like it's like a role in a way that even our bodies are built for in a sense. And it's, again, maybe getting food, catching food, providing that sort of thing, protection, get these deep-seated roles that are kind of ingrained into us physically and spiritually. I do think there's something about that. Yeah. So there's a random, just a little speech there about some experiences. I don't know what to say, you know, other than that, really. Nuggy, I like that. I worked at Blockbuster when it came out, or what we're watching here. Snake Eyes, oh, I see. Talk about manuscripts from the Alexandra Library. I thought I knew some shit until I started boxing, says Amelia. Absolutely everyone needs to get a good knock from someone bigger. You have to be humbled at least once. Exactly, yeah. You know how to speak with our dialect, Paul. What dialect? What are we talking about? What does that mean? Paul, what part of England are you in? Let's just say the north. Conflict is a catalyst for humility. Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's like there's nothing more humbling than getting smacked in the face by somebody who's definitely stronger than you and getting knocked out. It's kind of shit, you know. And there's no greater motivator as well, because it's kind of like, well, I need to get my shit together because I need to be able to defend myself in this world. This world's dangerous, you know. It's that kind of thing as well. Yeah, there's definitely something about it. The image of God is a selfless sacrifice out of love. In that image, we may be saved. Pride sees God in ourselves, but the mirror shows the inverse of that image. Yeah. Pride is a major issue, especially when it comes to not wanting to follow God. A lot of it's based on the idea of, well, I want to be able to say I saved myself. I don't want the help. And that's the eternal refrain of mankind, isn't it? Unfortunately, the denial of help and the desire to be the only one who saves ourselves. A couple of my friends learned the hard way. I wasn't the nuggy after a locker door met their face. That's what I mean. Yeah, that sense. It tends to be as well a good way to deal with narcissists. But you have to be swift about it. If you ever sense that somebody is trying to manipulate you or gaslight you from the get-go, like you've just met them in like a work environment, let's say, or something like that, and they do something and you know that's unfair, and you know they're trying to manipulate you, and you know for a fact they're clearly a smarmy, sociopathic, narcissistic psychopath who's trying to test you and see where they can push you and what they can do to you and what authority they have over you. If you know it as well, it's in the gut. You know when someone's doing that to you. You know, it's a feeling. It's like you've just encountered evil and you know it type of thing. If they do that, you immediately shut it down. Like you say, I know what you are. No, not me. And you'll find they do back off very quickly. It's like, okay, that's not an easy target. Because predators prey on the weakest things, the injured, the old, the sick, the children. Predators prey on weakness. And the thing is, if you encounter that, you have to quickly demonstrate, I am not an easy target. And that will make them go, okay, well, whatever, move on psychologically. And they'll probably treat you with respect from then on. It's fake respect, but at least it's not attack. And that tends to be the only way to deal with a narcissist that's effective. But keep a distance. Keep your distance. That's for sure. Don't push it. And that's yeah. Just something else I've learned, unfortunately. Through horrible experiences, you've got to learn these things in this world. Hi, Paul. My book arrived. Thank you, says Awake in the Light. Wonderful. That's good to hear. Like I said, the next batch of books for signed copies is arriving on the 30th. If you want a copy, you can email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com, and you can reserve from the next batch of 6 available. 4 are already spoken for, so 6 are left. If you want to get yourself a copy of The Nephilim Look Like Clowns, hardcover, signed by me, email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com, and we can get that arranged. So there we go, guys. When you say "not me, go away," it's a spiritual authority that's Christian. I guess so. I don't know. It's more just an instant defense mechanism I learned from years of being abused by narcissists. Like, it's kind of, you got to learn through the hard way of how to kind of deal with it. And that's just what I've learned. That's my personal advice. Hopefully it doesn't backfire and get you in trouble. But you have to believe it, though. You have to sell it. You can't just like passively say, "Oh, not me." You know, you've got to really stand up to these people quickly. Yeah. Because they'll make your life a living hell if you don't. Paul, I saw your Gorillaz video and I agree with a lot of what you say, even though I'm a relative fan of the band. But I have to admit that thing about the blue guy looking like a clown was a bit forced. Well, it's not like he necessarily looked like a clown. First of all, he had big red lips and a big grin like a clown. His skin was blue, his eyes were very big and wide. But the fact is that he was a spirit who possesses the drummer. And the song is even about that when you listen to the lyrics. And the spirit comes out of the drummer and makes a speech. And his speech is exactly something a Nephilim would say. "Finally, someone's let me out of my cage." You know what I mean? And he goes on to explain how I'm the one who makes the music. I'm the one who controls the musicians. I'm the one who's controlling people's minds as zombies through music and sound and frequency. I am the spirit behind the control. And the fact that they made him look relatively clownish with the big red wide smile and lips and everything, I thought it was an interesting idea. So that's all that was. I mean, yeah, you know, when I say the Nephilim looked like clowns, they didn't all look like polka dot hat wearing, honking, frilly necked clowns. You know, there's some nuance to what I'm saying here. It's the hook is that the Nephilim looks like clowns, but of course they look like serpent human hybrids. That's what they looked like. Okay, and we would describe many of those features as clownish. But, you know, saying clowns are based on Nephilim doesn't quite roll off the tongue as much as the Nephilim looks like clowns, does it? So that's what I'm doing. But I'm glad you liked the video. I'm glad you liked it. Elvin Nelson, I lost my connection earlier, sorry, but my question is, if Jesus has already come and the firmament was rolled back as a scroll and the stars fell to earth, why are the stars / firm still there? Well, what is the Milky Way but a giant, huge crack in the firmament? When you actually look at it. Really look at the Milky Way in its full force from pictures. You tell me it doesn't like the sky was ripped open at some point, or the firmament was ripped open and then perhaps resealed afterwards. I think many of the stars we see are air bubbles in the firmament. They're not actually like stars at all. I think solar luminescence is another thing as well. Light refracting through the air bubbles in the liquid above to create what look like stars. Perhaps what we see above us right now is not even our sky that used to be here when Christ was around at all. I wouldn't put it past Satan to create a simulacrum of the constellations in the sky right now. Perhaps already through holographic technology that we just don't realize exists. Who knows what kind of prison system we're living in right now? In this very short time, he has some small modicum of control, you know, what false layer he's put over our reality as opposed to the true layer of Christ, you know. Who's to say in the end, when New Jerusalem suddenly appears in the sky, that isn't him just switching off the projection of the false sky he's put above us for hundreds of years. And suddenly we see what's really there, Jesus and his camp of saints, the city in the sky, Mount Zion itself, you know. Who knows? There's many answers I could give you as to the case there and what's really going on. There really is. But when you actually look at stars through a telescope today, they just look like, and they're all very different, unique, circular waveforms of some kind and patterns, and they're all very unique and different from one another. So you're not looking at like the way the camera refracts light and creates these effects. These are all very unique, different colored, different shaped objects. They certainly don't look like suns. We'll tell you that right now. So who knows? Who actually knows? So there's just some general musings I can give you. I don't have an answer though, unfortunately. Hello, I'm the Rapture. Sorry, but I'm late, but this other party you see, and I had a buffet and a free bar. Okay, I see where you're going there. Solar luminescence, I think they could be echoes of the original words God spoke to create heaven and earth. Interesting, Jonathan. The Orthodox Church teaches that Christ reigns through his church, the sacraments, and the lives of the faithful. His kingdom is already present, but not yet fully consummated. I think there are a lot of churches in this time who claim to have the only way or the right interpretation of what it is that's really going on. I think they're all wrong. I think they've all been deceived massively. I think they're all there to keep you trapped from understanding what's really happening here. None of them say we're living in the little season. Why? Somebody has to live through that time. Why has not one single denomination in hundreds and thousands of years cropped up that has once had this interpretation, even once? It makes no sense. It's there. It's clear as day in black and white. Somebody lives through that time. Why could it not be us? Why has no one once even just postulated or considered it as a possibility? There should already be churches surrounding this idea, but they don't exist. That's odd. That's very odd considering this book has had millions of eyes on it, researching and thinking about it clearly and trying to understand the truth. But they never bothered just to turn to the very end. Like, I don't understand. Like, it doesn't make sense until you think about the fact that, well, we probably are in the little season. That's why. When you really think about it. And yes, of course, you can't destroy Christianity. You can't undo what Christ did. You can't bury it. It's impossible. He reigned for 1,000 years and established a lot of infrastructure based upon that idea. You can't get rid of it all. But what you can do is trick the people into being confused about where they are in history. You can't get rid of Christ, but you can make it seem like Christ is still yet to come. That's the best he could do, and that's what he's been doing. And all of these churches on this earth in this time are based on the idea that Christ is still yet to come. And that's how Satan has deceived the masses. That's how he's done it. Like, it's enough truth to keep you going, but that one lie, where you are on the timeline, throws everything off. And he's got you. He's got you there then. That's it. Orthodox are combatants in Burma, Ethiopia, Russia. Jesus didn't start a rebellion against Romans. Yeah, look, this is what I mean. I'm a non-denominational for this reason. I'm not interested in joining a church or a faction, joining a side or a faction, because I think joining any of them is a part of the division. That's the issue. You're just taking part in the division when you do that. I think the gospel is simple. Believe on Jesus Christ and that he rose from the dead, and you will be saved. It's very simple. Why overcomplicate it? It's not believe Jesus Christ is a son of God and died for your sins and resurrected and you'll be saved, as long as you also join this specific church at this specific time as well and make sure you do these certain set of rituals while you're at it. That's not what it says. Okay, it doesn't say, yes, believe in Jesus Christ and you will be saved, but also you must take the sacraments and you must pray 7 times a day facing in the east, and you must do, it's like, why add all those extras on? You must also do at least 3 missionary works in your lifetime. You must also do a specific thing in the ritual over the, like, it's all pomp, it's all ritual. It's man-made rules that have nothing to do with salvation. And I can't play that game. I can't do it. I cannot play it. It just feels fake. It feels wrong to me. It feels ridiculous. And that's just me. That's just me. Okay. You don't have to agree with me. I'm sure you've got plenty of arguments of why your way of doing things is the only and the right way. I'm sure you do. I've heard them all. but I can't. There's something stopping me from getting past that. And I think I've explained it clearly why my worldview is not compatible with taking part in any of these things, these cults, these rituals, these ideas, these only ways of doing things so called by that specific system in church. I'm just going to read the word, read the red letters of Jesus, and listen to him. Okay, that's what I'm doing. Read the words of John, the synoptic gospels, just go through the basics, keep it simple, don't overcomplicate salvation. And that's my ethos. That's how I do this. That's how I go through this. There is only one true baptism and one true church, says Segnos. This is what I mean, hearing these type of things. I mean, yes, but what, and that's yours, is it? That's only yours? Like I know plenty of churches who claim they are the one true church. This is the problem. This is the issue. And it causes wars. It causes horrible wars. And I don't think that's what Christ was after. Oh, what's that? So my phone just beeps over there. Sorry, guys. I've got another guest after this. I'm just seeing if I've got it timing right here. Yeah, I think I've got I think the time's getting away from me. I've got about 10 minutes left before I have to get on to another call. So I'm going to have to start wrapping this up, guys, I think. Let me just quickly check in the chat who we've got for the last minute hellos and goodbyes. I think the lack of spirituality, meanwhile, but at least, I don't know what you just said there. The truth of love. Donna Matrix is in the house. All the problems exist because people don't actually listen to Jesus. Listen to the very verb Jesus uses when he talks to the masses. Yeah. Historically, the church fathers, blah, 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 warned against fixating on numerical temporal schemes from Revelation. Yeah, well, mate, there's a lot to be said about the church fathers when you actually look into it as well, to be honest. So I don't know about that. Faith without works is dead. Anyway, I agree. I think fruits of the Holy Spirit are good works, certainly. But the works don't save you. They have nothing to do with salvation explicitly. What's your point? Do you want to think you're super saved because you do all these other things as well? Are you extra saved than other people? Is that what it is? Have you scored some extra brownie points? Do you get to be closer to the throne of God than other people in the end or something like that? Or do you get to be in like an inner circle clique because of the way you did it? Is your salvation like better than other people's salvation or something? Is it like a season pass type thing? Or is it like when you get to heaven, like is it like a VIP gold card membership or something? What? Do you hear yourself when you think and say these things realistically? That is pride. I'm sorry, that is heavily rooted in pride when you really get down to it. And I don't like it. It feels gross to me. It really does. Cheers, mate. If you haven't, I'd love to hear your take on Manly P. Hall's magnum opus sometime. If you ever get bored, it's a long haul. I've read some of Manly P. Hall's work. Maybe I can do a thing on that in the future. Not right now, though, with 5 minutes left, unfortunately. But yeah, thanks for being here anyway. And I do discuss Manly P. Hall in my own book, The Nephilim Look Like Clowns, if you're interested. Don't lose the holy mysteries of the church. Okay. Look, I think the church is the body of Christ. I don't think the church is a building or a place or a specific denomination. I don't think that's the case. Paul, where did I get the idea that Molech is an ox? I'm no Bible expert, but I know they never explicitly stated the animal looked like. And there are no archaeological. Well, actually, there are plenty of evidence. There's plenty of evidence to say they used to cook children in bronze oxes and ox gods and gods of bull-horned gods. And the traditional description of Molech is that it was a child sacrifice god. So we can infer that it was probably a bull. But also an owl is often symbolized as Molech too. So we do have examples and ideas of what by inference, we can guess who Molech was and what he looked like. Absolutely. Look, Segnosis, I'm sure your faith is strong. I'm sure you're a fellow brother in Christ, and I'm happy you found peace in your denomination and where you are. I'm just telling you that that's not where I'm going to be. That's not it. Not for me. And that's it. And if you think less of me for that, so be it. I'm okay with that. Right, guys. I am going to have to get going. It's been almost 2 hours now. Again, I do have another appointment after this. I am going to have to shoot. But yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. Please consider becoming a patron to help support me. There's extra content on there if you are interested. Patron-only stuff, so don't miss out on that. If you are a patron member, go and check it out. Like I said, I'd give some extra thoughts on Charlie Kirk on there, which I don't publish on YouTube for obvious reasons. If you want to get a copy of the book, you can go to Amazon. If you want a signed copy, email me personally at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com. Don't forget to check out on Friday the latest video on understanding creativity regarding MK Ultra and artists, and how many of them may have actually just been sleeper agents pretending to be artists to sow chaos and start wars and all sorts of crazy things. So yeah, lots to come on that channel. More to come on this channel in the week as well. I'll see you on Sunday for the Truther Therapy session as usual. Take it easy, guys, and as always, God bless.